Hello, I'm Jamie Shibley, CEO of The Expressory. Today, I want to talk about the strategy behind podcast gifts when people use shared quotes for their gifts. So, we've been talking a bit about nurturing your podcast guests this past month. And one of the common ways that podcast hosts will continue to nurture that relationship long after the podcast interview has taken place is to follow up with what's called quote cards, right? So you find a quote that the guest, the interviewee, said during your podcast interview, and you design a quote card. You design an image that gets printed and sent to the recipient. Now, it's obvious people love this stuff. One, because hey, this is something I said. It makes me look important. It makes me look smart. And so when we receive something like that, we love to share that. We put it up, right? And so in some ways, it seems like, oh, that's an obvious why I'm sending it. But I want to dig a little bit deeper into the strategy of why that works and why that's powerful from a gifting relationship building standpoint. So we've talked about attributes of gifts that make them lasting, that create the stronger bond, build those emotional ties. Okay. And one of the attributes is shared experiences. So when a gift reflects or touches on, has the theme of a shared experience, that is a gift that automatically creates a stronger emotional tie. It's lasting, it's shared, it's very engaging. Those quote cards that are being sent after a podcast interview reflect and tap into a shared experience, right? We did this podcast together, and you're reminding me we had a great time having this podcast together. But let's talk about some of the other reasons that shared experiences work to really create that strong bond between you and the other person. So when people have a shared experience, you're engaging in this activity of a podcast together. Um, it creates this sense of closeness, familiarity right there, right? Um, and so when I send you this gift, I'm reminding you that, we had that closeness, we had that time together. I'm also reminding you that when we were having that conversation, there was a bit of vulnerability. Um, we had a moment of trust because we're having some conversation. We have to rely on one another as we're going through that conversation. And so we're bringing up those emotions that create the understanding and that we, support and respect each other. So again, the quote is reminding me of these feelings and these emotions. Um, the podcast also gave us an opportunity for mutual growth, right? We're both learning from each other. We're both having this conversation. And again, bringing it up after the fact, maybe it's causing the recipient to think of something else that they needed to follow up with you on, right? However, we learned these things. You talked to me, you shared some new ideas. I need to send you this thing now, right? So we might be creating some additional engagement because of the reminder that we both grew a lot as a result of that shared experience. We've talked about shared understanding, mutual respect. Um, Now, and then again, that shared opportunity it provided that open and honest communication platform for us. And the quote is reminding me that I have that connection with you. I can come back to you and continue to have further conversation because you're going to understand me. You're going to get me. Okay. So that is why right? When all of these things happen as a result of a shared experience, and now you send or you use a gift or a physical item that reminds me of that shared experience, you are triggering all of these things to come up again in a very positive way. Because at the end of the day, when someone feels understood and validated and cared for, you've got all the emotional ties to really have that deep, long lasting trust that we're all looking for with our business relationships. So, hopefully, that provides some really good insight as to the power behind referencing using a physical item that references that shared experience. That is the power behind those quote cards. That's why they work. They're sitting on our desks, right, long after we're thinking about it. So hopefully that gives you some good insight, some interest in considering how you can put this shared experience, the quote cards after podcasts into work for your own brand. And if you have any additional questions, always feel free to reach out, and happy to chat about this a little further. Thank you for listening.